Robbie.
Stephen Brooks. And the award for fastest opening for podcasts goes to the Rubber Onion right now.
Well, definitely not. That was the slowest anyone could have.
What's that time-wasting song that Conan sang?
Oh, that was fun. Yeah. I won't waste your precious time. Okay. Wow, I don't know why I sang it like Burning Down the House at Talking Heads, but we start out the How You Doing? We just talk about the Oscars, and we've got a good time in there. I think it's like 30 minutes or so. We talk about the Oscars, and we have a trailer talk. We talk Smurfs, How to Train Your Dragon, and Shrek 5, and then we have an AI watch where we talk about Hank Azaria's New York Times op-ed and some various other things in there, and Rex are at the end in the outro. Also on the webpage, RubberOnion.com/podcast, episode 304. You're going to want to check that out for some cool things.
Oh, yeah.
Robbie, is there anything else?
I think that's it, man. You know, it's I know we can give a reference to like Shrek, and we can give a reference to the Smurfs. We could give a reference to all types of things.
All the things that I just said.
But I can't think about it right now. I'm just not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I promise you.
Robbie, you're an all-star.
Let's get our game on.
Robbie, you know what? I'm tired of this. Go play.
What's the L-shaped thing with the...
What? A loser, right?
Yeah.
L shape on your forehead.
Like, yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to go.
In the shape of an L on your forehead. I hate that I know that. Listen, let's just do it. I want to say welcome to episode 304 of the RubberOnion Animation Podcast. And we're calling this one Flowers in the Landfill.
Might as well be walking on the sun. Oh, wrong song.
Oh, see, Flowers in the Landfill was such a beautiful... It feels like a poem. It feels like a poem. And then you ruin it. You smash it, if you will, with the words that come out of your mouth. Oh, and also, I have to apologize again for Rob's microphone situation.
Oh, yes. It's only episode 304. I'll get around to it.
It doesn't matter. Sometimes you got a good one. Sometimes you got a bad one. Sometimes we have technical issues. It doesn't matter. You've been around this long. You know what the deal is. Enjoy the show.
I'm Don Bluth.
I'm Harry Partridge.
Hi, I'm Tom Moore, teenage superhero.
My name's Adam Phillips.
This is Robert Valley.
And I'm in no way doing a forced plug. No, sorry. I won't say that. Definitely go for that.
And you're listening to...
We're not going to spend any time lollygagging, vamping, delaying. I should have done lollygagging third. That would have been funnier. No, we're just going to get right into
here.
There you go, tomfoolery. The How You Doing segment, which is always just us talking in the beginning, before delaying the fact that we're going to get into the actual stories. So this is Monday, March 3rd, when we're recording this.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, when I set episode 303 to be released to the public. So Patreon's already had it for a week. Now, we're recording this one the day after the Oscars. So we're going to talk about the Oscars. And for Patreon, this is going to be fresh. But for everyone else, it's probably going to be... I was going to hold on to this for like 2 weeks and then release it so that we have like a regular 2-week structure. But I don't think I can hold on to it that long.
Now that you're listening to it, non-patrons, let's talk about that Will Smith smack. Oh my God, wasn't that crazy?
There was nothing like that at the Oscars.
I thought Conan would probably make some kind of.
No, I don't think. I knew he was going to say something about Carla, who was there.
Yeah.
Which was good. He did his kind of perfect hosting, or riding the line between his brand of weird. I think is perfect for the Oscars, but the problem is either it made it more apparent to me the seriousness that the Oscars takes itself, because of his weirdness, or they intensified the amount of seriousness that they take to counteract his weirdness. Now, he did, of course, at the end of his monologue, he gave this nice speech about coming together, the fires that were in LA, and how we get together every year to celebrate the art and artistry, and it's basically saying like, hey, we help you forget. It's kind of like the long and short of it. It's so clear that he's very uncomfortable delivering monologues like that. His hands were shaking a little bit. When he was serious. When he's silly, it's like nothing can touch him.
Yeah.
But when he has to be serious, he becomes a kid trying to give a presentation in front of class.
It's definitely one of those things where you wonder why they haven't asked him to be the host. Well, I'm sure they asked him like a couple of times before, and he maybe declined. But it just makes so much sense.
Yeah, but he's always had a talk show, I think, when that's going on. Can you imagine like look at how hard it is to put on the Late Show every week. And you guys are doing a daily show, virtually daily shows, right? Like, and it's an enormous amount of work that goes into it, and enormous pressure on the host. And I think I actually remember him saying, Colbert saying like, it's a lot of risk and not a lot of reward.
Oh yeah.
and like one of the things that people go and host the Oscars, it's like, oh, wouldn't you want to do that and be around? He's around movie stars all the time and actually gets to have like one-on-one conversations with them. And this is like, it just doesn't offer anything different or anything unique from the hosting thing.
Well,
now
Jimmy
that
Kimmel
being
did
said,
it a couple of times.
Jimmy, I was just gonna say
okay.
Jimmy Kimmel did it, like, but I think that Jimmy Kimmel is addicted to hosting. I think he can't. I think he just can't. I think he just loves it. So that is where he feels probably most comfortable, is just standing in front of people and smiling with a little bit of smarm, and just talking. I think that's where he feels the most comfortable.
See, one thing
where it's a little bit more, work a day for other people.
One thing I was kind of hoping was that whenever they wrap up the, someone giving their award speech and they play music, I was kind of hoping that like Conan would bring back the masturbating bear. And that would just wrap them up.
I will say when he brought out the sandworm, and the first thought I had was like, that sandworm doesn't look great. Like it doesn't, but then but that's exactly what it felt like a very Conan bit. Like it felt like something that would have been, that, and he even made a comment. He brought it out later. He's like, when you spend that kind of money on a bit, you want to do it twice. And it was like, I think it was funnier that it just looked like this,
like a rolled up mattress.
It was definitely cool. Like I feel like whoever made it, I don't know what kind of time they had or whatever, but it was the thing that I say about stuff like that is there's a certain charm to something that is not polished. I think it's kind of like an uncanny valley effect.
Yeah.
When something looks too good, it's when something looks really, really good, it's kind of amazing, right? When something looks just, kind of patchy, kind of arts and craftsy, it's charming. But there's a point in between arts and crafts and really polished where it's just this place that doesn't work for anything. It's like it's too good to laugh at and feel kind of brought in through this comfortable charm, and it's not good enough to be like, wow, that's this amazing. It's just kind of riding a weird little line.
I mean, especially for comedy purposes,
right? Yes,
I
of course.
suffer from that sometimes where you're photoshopping something for like a monologue and like a mock-up, and I'm trying too hard to blend the absurd thing into the image, where that doesn't matter. It should look like someone put it together crap. Like it should look crappy. It makes it funnier.
It's funny you say that because I think there's something that I'm going to bring up later in one of the stories that just remind me about that. Let's say, how did I list this off? I say 1, 2, 3. The third and last story in the first segment. Okay. Anyway, did you watch the full Oscars? I know we're talking a lot about the Oscars. But
I
did
watched
you watch the full thing?
clips on YouTube.
Okay, there you go. So I actually watched it last night. Not really. I quote unquote DVR'd it on YouTube TV. But then I went back and watched it so that I could skip through all the stuff that I didn't really care about. I really wanted to see how Conan was going to do, how he was going to do his hosting. But then the other thing was, obviously I wanted to see some of the winners. Before we get to the thing, I mean, this is an animation podcast, so we will obviously talk about the fact that they're like, I guess let's do best supporting actor in a film. Let's do that first, and then let's get this animation stuff out of the way.
Yeah,
let's just do both. Let's just do the animated film, animated short. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay, great. Now we can go back to
like they usually do. Like,
no, there was no skit.
Okay.
No, and thank God there was no skit about like, hey, animated films are just something that you put on with screaming kids, and every year they do something that just ticks off animators, and I just kind of feel like maybe they learned their lesson. I don't know. just don't do anything. Just say animated film isn't.
They always treat it like, let's entertain the baby by shaking keys, and then put the medicine in their mouth. So they
remember James, is it James James Corden? Corden. I almost said Corbett. Was
it the cats?
Talking about cats. It was cats. Yes, it was. And they were saying about like, we know how important, how bad visual effects can like tank a movie. Like, no, it was not the visual effects that tanked the Cats movie. You can't blame it on that. But it was just so funny because people got so angry at it because like, here it is. This is just indicative of what our entire career is. Anyway, so the I was gonna say the supporting actor.
Yeah.
They, as Robert Downey Jr. comes out and he's given, like, he's talking about his personal, I love what you did in this movie, and I knew you from such and such, and I love what you. And he went line by line. I was like, okay, that's a Robert Downey Jr. thing. Now, I'm just gonna skip over the animation for a little bit and go to the next one. I don't remember what the next one was, but whatever the next award was, maybe it was costumes, and all the costumes, the people were up there. Representing, it was like 5 people, and they were all presenting, and they all talked about, individually the costume, and they went in this big thing. I was like, oh my God, are they going to do this for every single award? Just get out there and say, costumes, they're great. Can't have a movie without them. Blah, blah, blah. Say something nice about costumes, and then show the contestants or whatever the nominees, and then give the award. Like every other award show, this individual, like, I love you so much, and you just brought this to, like, oh God. Anyway, it's that stuff that
it's just like
I was glad that
SNL bit or something.
Yeah, so they didn't do that with animation. Now let's talk about animation.
Oh yeah, I guess it's appropriate since.
Best animated film. Yeah, now that we're like 10 minutes in.
But
Best animated film. Listen, we all know who the nominees are. I'm not going to go through this because last week we talked about the Annies, and we mentioned about the Golden Globes and things, stuff in passing. But everyone knew this year it was going to be Wild Robot versus Flow. Everyone knew that. It was probably the first year having Inside Out 2 in any other year was probably going to be like, oh yeah, that's up there, Frozen 2 comes out and they're like, oh yeah, that's up there, This one, it felt very clear it was between one or the other. Now, last episode, I declared that because you asked me, I said I thought Wild Robot was going to win because I have no faith in the Oscar voter.
Yeah.
Flow won. This is This is gigantic.
Yeah.
It's huge for few reasons. One, it's not just that he's from Latvia, and it was the first person from Latvia, first Latvian production at least, to win. But his previous movie, he animated all by himself. Like, all by himself. Previous to that, he did animated short. This is just a guy who, like, makes his animated stuff. He got some attention for that one. He got an opportunity to make this movie, got some money for it, and the team was very, very small. I mean, tens of people, roughly 30. And they used Blender, which isn't even what he's comfortable with. He's comfortable using Maya, but they used Blender for, I guess, probably a few reasons. I don't even know if he said exactly why. They don't have to spend the money for the licenses or anything, but it's an open source free program. The budget somewhere around $4 million we talked about, and it is completely dialogue free. That is, I mean, any one of those things is surprising.
Yeah.
That it would win the Oscar, But all of those? That's incredible. And you want to say game-changing, and it might be game-changing, but it might also just be, this is just a standout. This is just a unique situation just for him. But wow, what a flag to plant.
Yeah, not to mention, like, I haven't seen, like I told you, before we first started talking about Flow, I thought it was a video game.
Right.
Because all I saw was a thumbnail on YouTube. I didn't see any commercials on TV. I didn't see any kind of like billboards with it. And for a long time, the go-to was always Disney, and seeing something like this win an award. It feels, you feel like there's hope in this so-called dying industry that we keep hearing about for original storytelling and not just making a sequel or just something that looks like you just threw a bunch of references and whatnot.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, A Wild Robot, it was really good. I mean, it was a very good movie. But as you said, it has let's say different categories to it. But it was one of those that it spoke to parents. It had everything in it that should have won the Oscar. I mean, really, if you're betting, it should have won the Oscar, being what we know about Oscar voters. Do you remember 2015? I think we might have talked about it, but it was the Hollywood Reporter, right? Does those brutally honest Oscar ballots every year.
Yeah.
And they have like an anonymous Oscar voter. This person's from, the shorts, this person's, an actor, this person's in, whatever. The only thing that I remember in, it was just a really offensive dude from the sound, not department, but sound, category, I guess, in for the Oscar voters. And he was so insulting toward animation, and even that year, I think it was up on Cartoon Brew, and it just got everyone angry. Just this collection of things where people were like, yeah, I didn't watch it, or like, I only go with, I don't know, my kids like this movie, so I guess I'll just vote for that one.
Yeah.
And I understand why Best Animated Film, you're able to vote on it. And like not every Oscar you're able to, every single person is able to vote on it, right? So certain craft things, only people inside those crafts are allowed to vote on that one. But there are other categories like Best Picture, where everyone can vote. Everyone who is an Oscar voter can vote for that, no matter what your focus is. And animated film, the Best Animated Film, was kind of an offshoot of Best Picture, because the big famous thing was like, Beauty and the Beast? Oh, no. We can't have this. We can't have these animated films in this thing. But if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, which, in my older age, I guess I'm willing to acknowledge that maybe they're like, well, there's a lot of animated films and it's either never going to get to shine, or it's its own medium and it should have its own thing, but we can't like completely ignore it. So let's like give it its own whatever. And so they made it open for everyone to vote, but not everyone likes animation or cares about animation or anything. Now we know that there are people who vote in the Oscars for the Best Picture who don't see all the movies. We know that, but it's more likely that someone will vote in the Best Picture for a movie that they saw and they liked, or they'll give a lot of them their attention, or they'll really think about it. And for animated film, they kind of just go like, here's what my kids like. Here's, whatever. Not everyone, but that there's a decent amount. That is why I thought Wild Robot was going to win, because it speaks to the masses in a way that I thought Flow didn't.
Well, I think in that setup, I think it would be maybe they saw it and they pictured Iron Giant. They say, "Oh, this is probably something like that." If they didn't see it,
you're talking Wild Robot.
Yeah, and not to say that I haven't seen Flow and not question whether it's worthy enough to be better or worse than Wild Robot, which I didn't see as well. But if I'm trying to think of the average, like the voter who doesn't watch animation and seen, something, I think maybe they just saw the robot and just thought it was more towards, I don't know, people love cats. My kids love kitty cats.
Not the year that Cats came out.
That's true. But those were
anyway. I think the thing that's very exciting about this, but also could be just like I said, it could just be a one-off, is that this dude made short film. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 short films. From 2010 to 2017, and then in 2019 he released Away, which was a 75-minute animated film that he animated by himself. He wrote the screenplay, he composed the score, he did everything, and it's kind of like how I kind of have thought that. That's what I would do. I would do all these animated shorts, and then I would do a movie. And I had this whole thing planned, but then life kind of gets in the way or whatever. And he's doing that dream, and then he does it. He releases it. It does okay. It doesn't get a lot of money, but it gives him enough attention to make his next movie, Flow. Very small production, very small, but like super small budget, $4 million. Even if it's more than that.
Yeah,
that's incredibly small, with an incredibly small team.
Yeah, there was an interview. It was interesting seeing him like talk about how he wasn't used to working with people on a project like this. Yeah.
Yes.
So to go from that
with people,
sitting in your underwear working on something, and then I assumed he was in his underwear because we all are when we animate on our own. To working on this and winning an Oscar is just it's crazy, but also like
it is truly incredible. It's incredible. I mean, he did very well at Annecy. He did well. He at Ottawa. He was just that movie going down the line to all the award shows during the season, all the way up to the Oscars. It was really incredible and very exciting. And for it to be done on Blender has to be a big pat on the back for Blender.
Yeah.
I mean, it's open source. I think there's a feeling now also that people have been trying to move away from anything that's subscription, anything that costs a lot of money, and just general sentiments. I mean, we had like a purchasing blackout on Friday, right? That you don't buy anything, and just the general sentiment. I think it all kind of like comes together very well. People have been talking a lot about indie animation being like the next. That's the next thing, not these big produced, whatever. It's going to be indie animation. And there's a lot of evidence to that, but I feel like probably more to the point. It's not that it's the next thing. I think it's just more to the point that indie animation now has become so viable that it actually is becoming a more enticing path than it has been in the past. It used to be like, hey, you go indie, like good luck getting your stuff out there. It's not, I mean, you could try, but you're not going to make any money on it. You're not going to, whatever. And now it just feels like, yeah, there's more stuff out there. An A24 might see your stuff and pick it up. And now you got 2 simultaneous shows going on, Vivzy with Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss and this movie winning the Oscar, and there's a lot of examples of independent animated stuff that is that's getting attention and getting out there, and it's very exciting. I do feel like some of it is about the technology getting to a point where it actually is kind of easier to to produce some really high-end stuff with like a very small team.
Yeah.
But then also in a weird way, because of the lockdown and because of this work from home thing, and there's a huge downturn in a lot of people getting laid off. There are people who are experienced in producing things from home, and programs are more accessible and better than they've ever been. And there's a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands.
Oh,
so I think it is. I think this was just kind of it's a big, not a rallying cry, but it's more like a, I don't know. I feel like this winning for animators was like everyone just saw this big flare go up, and everyone knows what it means.
Yeah.
We're still alive. So someone else is still out there, still doing our thing. Keep plugging away. It was kind of actually a little inspiring.
Yeah.
And his speech was mercifully short, which I loved.
I think it's definitely something animators needed to witness, especially after what's been going on in the animation scene. And
Totally.
it looks like the upcoming years of animation, there's going to be just as much great animation that is.
Well, we're not technically done yet. I see you wanting to like move on to something else.
I did going backwards. Like
I have to say one thing. We thought Wander to Wonder might win, or maybe Yuck, which is getting a lot of attention for animated short. Yeah. It was actually In the Shadow of the Cypress, which is the Iranian film. Shirin and Hossein, and the duo who made that, they won. They actually were there, which I was like, oh, I thought they were stuck in Iran. I thought they got their visa denied and everything. They got their visa approved the previous day. They arrived at the airport 3 hours earlier. They got up there. They had their speech written out on their phone, which is all very cute. The guy's trying to like get it on his phone, and then she starts talking, which I thought was maybe off the cuff. And then they had like a little thing about like, oh, who's reading what? Oh no, we're reading this one. You're reading this one. And she had already said her lines. She had clearly memorized them. Yeah. And so she said them in English. It was because their English wasn't, they didn't feel as confident to like perform that, in front of everyone on the stage. And she says this stuff already, and he's like, no. And then he gets in front. He's like, I'm just going to read this all myself. And he read the whole thing, and it's stuff that she already said. It was not a good look. It was one of those moments. I don't know if you saw it, but it was one of those moments that I could just see you kind of grabbing like your upper chest, your throat, where you go like it was a little cringy, where you just kind of want to go like, guy, this is not a good look.
Yeah.
Let her talk. I don't know anything about them. All I know is, and I don't know if anyone else knows anything about them, and a lot of people don't watch the animated shorts. All I could say is I bet the people at home watching it didn't look good. But congratulations to them for winning, and I'm gonna check it out when they're still playing the big animated shorts, that in the theater at IFC, and I'd like to check those out.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool. Hey, listen, 30 minutes of talking about the Oscars. That's not too bad. It's it's a fun segment, the How You Doing, but we got to move on to trailer talk. You ever notice how our introductions for every segment are the same? It's like animation news of the week. We kind of do this up and down thing. Trailer talk. Some of these are trailers. Some of these are teasers. Some of these are new. Some of these are old.
Those are like the wedding
Deal with
rules,
it.
right?
What's that?
Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue.
Something blue.
Definitely
Yes,
got
that's
something
true.
blue for you.
Something blue.
We talked about a lot of amazing animation that some won Oscars, some were nominated, but a lot of them were indie and very thought out and comes from the heart. And now we're going to talk about the new Smurfs, which is completely soulless. And
So you saw the trailer,
yes,
right?
And of course I don't. The rules are don't judge a trailer. Because it's a trailer, and
Of course.
the movies. But this is 100% Bull Smurf. Ha ha ha! You get it? Because
Oh man, they make so many jokes like that.
and it didn't work. It didn't work. You can do that stuff sometimes, but I think the way they set it up was just not even clever. And the fact that they're going into the real world again, you want to be in the Smurfs village. It looks like a fun place to be. Why do they keep taking them out and putting them in our world?
I
Imagine. All right,
I don't
if
know.
I don't. I'm not like a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but imagine you got all the Lord of the Ring characters. They're trying to find a ring, and they go, "Oh no, the ring is on top of the Empire State Building." I don't know why I said.
I thought you were gonna keep going. Yeah, no.
I just think that there's not to say that the Smurfs is a great concept or something, but there is interesting things you can do with the Smurfs, and to have it be so cheap and like this. And yes, I know I'm talking about the Smurfs, but imagine if you could do what you did with the Lego movie and do it with the Smurfs. I mean, look, even Barbie went into the real world, but that wasn't the main thing. And maybe that's not the main thing of this one, but it's just, judging by the trailer, it just seemed so. What they're also trying to do is, Spider-Verse has a unique style, and that seems to be doing well. Let's make this look not really rendered well, just to give it that.
Well, I don't know about rendered well. I think it looks good.
It looks. Oh, I whistled. It looks. I don't know. There was a Smurf movie that came out not so long ago from this, and I didn't see it, but it seemed like a better idea.
The Lost Village?
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah, and the whole concept was, there's pretty much only one female Smurf.
Right.
We discovered a whole village of I don't know why women Smurf just seems like women Smurf just seems kind of weird to say, but I think that was a very clever thing, and I was like, okay, they're finally on the right path with this, and then this is just a huge step back. It kind of reminds me of Trolls, which when Trolls first came out, I thought the designs were fun, but then it's just hey, here's this song, and the main controversy with this was influencer Smurf, which
is that the main controversy?
Well,
I mean, a controversy, I guess. I can understand.
I would say controversy. It just annoyed people because obviously Vanity Smurf would just be that. You're putting Smurf like forgot to pay rent Smurf. Like they're just,
you know what I didn't like?
Stuff like that.
What are we gonna call him? Uncle Smurf, the Papa Smurf's brother that comes out. Was it Ron Swanson or whatever? You don't know Smurf about Smurf, and then I Smurf that Smurf up. Like we all know that sometimes it's funny to swap out Smurf for like a bleep.
Yeah.
A Robot Chicken did it a lot, and that's funny. This is kind of sad. It feels it feels lazy.
Yeah.
That's a load of Smurf. Stick a Smurf in it. These are just lazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now the look of it, I don't hate the look of it. I think it's fine. I don't mind the saying I don't mind. It's not. I think the look is good. The look, it doesn't.
Well, it beats the realistic.
I don't think it's like not rendered. I think all the visuals look fine. I think conceptually, it does feel like a step back. It feels like, but we can't really say that because I don't know how it performed. They had we had Smurfs and then Smurfs 2, right? And then there was Smurfs: The Lost Village, and that was a completely animated film, all in the animated world, all in and that was great. It felt and you're right. It felt like that was on the right track. And then now it's kind of going back to they fall through a dimension and now they're in the real world. It's like it just feels old, and I think that's why I'm gonna smurf that Smurf up. It just feels old, I think. And I'm feeling that a lot lately. Even though I am getting older, and maybe it's that I have seen. Maybe it's now that I know we talk about this a lot, but maybe I am now getting to the point where I am seeing some stuff come full circle, maybe like a second time, and I'm like, this is old. It feels there's like music that's out now that's like gigantic, sells the most, and I'm like, I've heard this before. It sounds like regurgitated songs that I've heard before. I don't know why this is the most. It's not new and exciting, but somehow for some people it is. Now, there are movies and TV shows and songs that I listened to as a kid that absolutely were playing off of things from the past. So I'm not saying that I'm, that back in my day, everything was totally new and fresh. And, that's not the case at all. But maybe it's just there's so much stuff. There's so much content that's out there. And we have Gen X and millennial adults who are in a bit of a state of arrested development. I mean, here we are talking about kids stuff for the most. We could be an animation podcast that only talks about adult things, but no, we want to. We like our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We like our we like continue being chill. It's not embarrassing for us where it was embarrassing for like previous generations, which is great. I think some people might have overcompensated a little bit and are a little too childish in their 40s, but hey, who are we to say? Because you have toys behind you. I'm wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shirt.
It's the Simpsons though.
And we're talking Smurfs
series. But of course, I think all my stuff on in my toy box.
Right. I think it's just that there are enough people who are older now who are maybe a bit more nostalgic over things from their youth and child. And this is not a hot take or anything. This is a very old take, but it's maybe the things that are coming around to being popular or being done in this way are maybe at a higher rate than before. I don't know. It just feels like everything feels very old.
Yeah.
Music, TV, movies, jokes, just like this just feels so old. Art, even products. Just like we've done this before. Like this, I don't know. I that's why I get so excited for anything that's new. And then sometimes because things that are new are not like the best, I get disappointed. So like there's nothing for me anymore, I guess is what I'm saying.
If you look at the new Turtles movie that came out recently.
Great.
We, as Turtle fans, we ate very well. We saw it.
Yes.
We saw the trailer and we were like,
Yes.
oh my God, they're doing something that's, familiar, but very different. And if
Yes.
you're a Smurf fan right now, you're just like, oh man, this is it. They're never going to, it's just going to keep vomiting. It's like a cow's stomach. It just goes into one stomach and it goes to the next stomach and it goes to the other stomach and then he vomits it out. It's just, if you're
doesn't vomit it.
Yeah, well, isn't that how milk is made out of? So then,
No, milk is made around the corner. No, sorry, fudge is made around the corner.
I don't even want to know about the lemonade. But it's one of those things where you just like, why can't you just take this thing? You could make an incredible Smurfs movie, and then make a Snorks movie, and then have those two worlds meet and create this multiverse.
That would be a crossover thing. That would be a multiverse, and you could do something like that. And I think that your Teenage Mutant Turtle thing is a very good point. I was trying to find a way to explain why this feels old and why things like this could even bother me when I really shouldn't care that much about it, or it's not unique to do things like this. It doesn't bother me. It just feels like, okay. It just kind of feels like, I don't know, like I'm getting the same meal.
Yeah.
Every day, if that makes sense. I guess that's what I mean by old. I just kind of feel like, pizza again. I love pizza, and there are people who eat pizza just, every day. That's what they do.
Turtles.
But God. Yes, turtles. That's right. I think your point about the turtles is great though, because when we saw the Platinum Dunes one, the Michael Bay produced first movie that had come out, my take on it was it's not that it just feels like you're putting so much money into it that this is just going to kill it. No one's ever going to want to put money behind this again. And of course then they did with the sequel. And then I was like, okay, well that's it then. Yeah, you got some good fun things, but nobody really cares anymore. You've spent so much money on it. And then we get this amazing animated film, but that just kind of went to me to the new idea that I kind of feel like you should take comic book stuff, and comic book stuff should start moving to the animated realm, because I feel like that's the way to refresh it. Don't keep releasing these. I didn't see the new Captain America. Harrison Ford is a grumpy Hulk, but it's just not. I feel like animated films could revitalize the superhero genre. It's not just Spider-Verse; it's also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You see, those are two wildly different explorations. People went like, "Oh yeah, because it's like Spider-Verse." No. The thing that you're getting from Spider-Verse is that it was different. Is that it felt visually different and exploratory and something kind of unique to. That felt like, yeah, this feels like the kind of style that you would want in this multiverse comic book, right? A lot of different styles and kind of overlapping things, and it's great. And then for Mutant Mayhem, you get this kind of this messy patchwork concept art, painterly, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which felt like it fit with them, and I think you can do that, on all of these. Which I wanted to say, I'm not saying anything about the designs of the Smurfs. I think this is good, and they're using kind of I don't know if it's drawn on or if it's a particular shader that they're using, but it looks like like the Peanuts kind of thing, and I think that's good. I think it's definitely a style that they're going for, and that's a good thing. But it does feel like we're kind of going down this road of
I feel sad
rehashing
the hardcore fans of the Smurfs, who's just like, because when something that you love comes out and it looks just god awful,
right?
Maybe soon there will be one that's made just right, but you're just like, why can't that just be now? Like it's when you're younger and something comes out that you love and it's just like, it sucks. And we, in the 90s, we had to deal with that so many times, and we had to wait till like we're balding for, the thing to come out really good. And you're like, man, this would have been really great if I was a kid seeing something like this.
Well, it took someone growing up who loved the thing and is now in the industry and in a position to make a thing, to make it for all the other fans just like them,
True, yeah.
And then you have How to Train Your Dragon, the live action movie. Now, this isn't also a hot take. It's just a take. It's not a take that is unique. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this for two main reasons. Number one, it's it's the original crew is back. I mean, Dean DeBlois. It's really hard to pronounce his name, but he directed the not just directed, but was brought in with Chris Sanders to revamp How to Train Your Dragon, which was, I think DreamWorks felt like it was kind of in trouble, and so they needed someone to come in, and he had helped shepherd that to where it is now, and it was a gigantic success. And How to Train Your Dragon 2 was excellent, and then they had a third one, so they have a whole trilogy, and then he gets an opportunity to make this live action film. Now, he has done live action stuff in the past. He's oh God, I forget I never know how to pronounce the lead singer for Sigur Rós, but I guess that person had a music. He had directed. Dean had directed a couple music videos for him, and then did a full length concert live action directing thing. So I think he's been kind of going in that direction, and it was he put it up on his page. I think he's fine with it. Elliot Cowan, I saw. Which you can go back and listen to our interview with Ellie Cowan. Somewhere, what was it, 103, somewhere around there. One of the early one of the first 5 100s, I guess. But he said that he had always kind of felt that the story of How to Train Your Dragon was something that was kind of meant for live action with nice special effects, visual effects flourish. I believe that's what he said. I'm paraphrasing. And I got to be honest, I kind of agree. It does, not to say that it wasn't a great animated film. It was a great animated film, and they did really, really great. But the story of the whole thing, it kind of does feel like it's kind of a perfect movie for this, for a live action set with actors and everything, and some great visual effects with dragons. It kind of feels like it would work pretty perfectly with that.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the How to Train Your Dragons.
Wait, really? You haven't seen the first one either?
Yeah, never.
Oh man, we got to change that. Wait a second, dude. I feel like we talked about this when we were living together.
Yeah, I think every time
like
you
ages
say it,
ago.
I just want to keep that streak going of like I never saw it. But,
I see.
no,
I see. Listen, I've done that.
It's one of those things where if it was on and somebody's watching it, I watch it. But I don't know, dragons and all that stuff. I never got pretty much sold on. I'm just I'm just stubborn that way. But looking at the trailer for this, you can already tell that it doesn't feel like what Disney does with. If you look at the Snow White movie.
Agreed.
It just feels like it's something that, you could go on without having to do this. But this could be a standalone movie on its own. And it just doesn't feel like they're trying to, a cheap cash grab, as they say. But it feels like there's something like, oh, we can actually tell this story. And maybe people who aren't really into animation can watch this and kind of
that was my other point, is that I think last episode I had brought up the thing that I've been saying for a little bit now, which is there are just some people who just won't watch anything animated, and it's to me, I'm also kind of very interested to see. I want to see the movie come out because I want to see the side by sides. We already have some side by sides on the introduction of Hiccup and the dragon. Did you see the Black Phone, by the way? That movie?
Oh, it was the horror movie, right? With
With Ethan Hawke and Scott. Was it Scott? Scott Derrickson? Is that the name of the director? I think.
Oh, I can't remember.
I feel like he just did another movie. Didn't he do The Gorge on Apple TV?
No idea.
Oh, cool. But the kid in that movie is Hiccup, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I've already seen a couple side-by-sides of here is what it was in the animated film and here is what it is in the live-action film. And there were so many people, all animators really, who were like, why even do it? If you're just going to recreate, if you're just going to do it shot for shot, then why redo it? I would normally be in that camp 100%, which I have said about like Beauty and the Beast, right? I've said this about the ballroom scene. There is nothing exciting. Like, the exciting thing about the ballroom scene was having a CG ballroom and this camera coming down and swooping around them while they 2D animated characters, a beast with a bunch of fur in this, opulent suit, and then Belle in her big flowy dress. It is a visual marvel that exists, and it was new technology, new use of technology and artistry combined together at the time.
Yeah.
You recreate that scene the same way in a live action hybrid CG kind of world where we're used to it now. It's not exciting anymore. You're just kind of recreating the same shot. It's like, well, what's the point of doing that? Do something new and unique and exciting, like if the idea was this was a huge step forward in technical and artistic marriage in animation, why would you not try to do something like that in your live action?
We've talked about
normally that's what I would say.
Yeah.
This one, the side by side being this way, I kind of find it, at least that introductory thing, I find it fascinating from first, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of way.
Yeah.
It could even be considered. There's plenty of shots in movies that are copying other shots, but I think in a weird way, it feels like that. What they're choosing to recreate was not a technical marvel, right? That was cinematic language at its purest form, that whole introduction between the two of them. So they're just doing the same cinematic language in live action, which I feel like is a kind of a good statement on animation just being good cinema,
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie yet, but I feel differently about this coming out than I do about, like you said, the Disney stuff, because those feel like cash grab kind of things that don't really understand exactly what worked about maybe the first one all the time. And the translation into another medium just feels sometimes a little, not lazy, everyone's working very hard, but it just doesn't feel as inspiring as the original one. And this so far feels like, actually, I don't feel like I'm losing a lot of the magic, to be honest.
Yeah, we've talked about before how, like, if they took the concept of the Lion King, in quotes, live action, where if they made it from a perspective of like a nature show, and everything that happened in that movie was being documented by a narrator,
Make it dialogue free.
Yeah.
Like Flow.
Oh yeah. See? How to that's how you train your producers.
They could sometimes be dragons too.
But dragging these IPs around. Oh, damn.
Wow. You know what? That was pretty good.
One
Good
last
job.
thing.
You ain't lying.
But if it fails, Hakuna Matata,
That cat's out of the bag. The snake in the grass. I'm just thinking of any phrase now. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
But
We gotta move on.
If you follow Flo's rules, you'll be saying, "Long live the king." Sorry.
Okay. Keep going.
Yeah,
What was the point you're going to make?
So if you took Lilo and Stitch right now, they're gonna do live action with Lilo, and if they took that concept where the kid in the movie is older and Lilo is still around or comes back, or I don't know, I forget what the ending was of Lilo and Stitch, but doing something different instead of recreating the animated movie of Lilo and Stitch, having him involved in her world as an adult may not be maybe the best thing in the world, but it'll be something different. Seeing, especially, it explains the live action because it would be like,
Yes.
oh, when you're a kid, you're living in this
Good point.
animated world, and like seeing Stitch in this like real adult world now. You're no longer in this like cartoon dreamland.
It is a good point. I think that, of course, someone would go like, "Oh, what? So kids only animated, and when it's adult, like of course, someone's
that's
going
true.
to say stuff like that." But no, I think that that's a way that you can I guess, reverse engineer the reason to do it in this way. But I think they must have data out there that says that kids still love seeing animated cartoony characters in a real world. They must have data that says that, because why would they have all these movies come out? Now, I feel like How to Train Your Dragon is a different case because I mean, of course, they're going to have a lot of visual effects for the environment. But the environment is supposed to be at least something that could exist, in our plane of existence here, in life. And the animated portion of it are the dragons, who are characters in their own right, but they're not speaking characters, but they are they are characters in their own right. You could call that a hybrid movie, or you could just call it a visual effects heavy film. But when you have a visual effects character that is animated, I would consider that character that's an animated character in this like live action film. We talked about this before. You have something like Jungle Book where there's one person, one live action person. The rest of the characters that are around you are all animated, and then also throw in there that the environment, that environment was also supposed to be something that would be in our real world, but it was a bit heightened. And then you have, obviously we have these animals that are talking. I mean, that's when we started talking about hybrid films, because that is part animated, part live action. You're not really, neither one of them is taking the forefront. Neither one of them is saying, and then you have the realistic looking animated film like Lion King, where it is fully animated, but it's supposed to look like it was filmed in camera. It's kind of a meta stylization of the thing to make it look more not just realistic, but to try to capture realism.
Yeah.
Even though and then you got Mufasa, which kind of pulls back from that a bit, and they're going, actually, we're going to try to make it a little bit more cartoony than the Jon Favreau Lion King from before. So you're in this place where people are just trying things, and it's not really dependent on the medium. It's just kind of you're using various mediums to make a film. So I think we're maybe a little bit beyond the idea of this is animated, this is whatever. It's the hybrid thing is becoming kind of the norm. I just don't know how exciting it is for kids to see like a Sonic in the real world kind of thing, or like a Pikachu in the real world kind of thing. I guess that's still exciting. I guess that's still something that is exciting for kids, because why would they keep making it unless they had actual they're not risk takers. Why would they have Why would they keep doing it unless they had data that said, yeah, this works?
Yeah.
I just don't feel How to Train Your Dragon is the same. I don't feel like this is the same as those categories, I guess is what I'm saying.
Do you think it's kind of like good publicity is bad publicity is still? Oh God, I can't say publicity. Where it's being shared around.
You mean
enough.
bad press? Any
there
press
we go. Press is much easier
press?
to say.
Yeah.
Where it's being passed around. Can you believe this? And it's just generating a buzz. So it's enough to kind of get people to either hate watch it or.
Wait, are you talking How to Train Your Dragon?
Oh no!
Or
I'm just saying the whole concept of animated characters in the real world.
I don't think so. I don't think that anyone starts producing or greenlights something for the idea of hate watching. Hate watching, I think, is something that you make in the 11th hour when you see like this is the response that this film is getting. So we're going to pivot to, we're going to start putting this up in midnight viewings and things so people can like make fun of it or whatever. I think that's not, I don't think anyone gets into it thinking that they're going to do that. Producers, filmmakers, actors, nobody gets into it thinking that they're going to do that. Sometimes that's just where film goes, and sometimes that's just where people's minds are. I'm just saying, just the sheer concept of having something like animated characters in live action is just it's. I don't really understand the ongoing appeal, but in the same breath, I do understand the appeal of How to Train Your Dragon because it feels like it works a bit better as visual effect, more like a Gollum kind of character, like a visual effects animated character in what is ostensibly a live action film, even though it's, Lord of the Rings was a fantasy movie. There's so many animated characters in that, so many fantasy characters in that, but and it's not even supposed to be our quote unquote real world, but I think everyone would look at that and think that is a live action film. Those are animated or mocapped characters. I mean, I think everyone knows like the Balrog, you call the Balrog a character. Yeah. Right? Even though he doesn't speak or it doesn't speak. I don't know if they used any mocap. I would be surprised if they did. But there's things like that in that movie, and you just kind of accept it. And I think that's the fantasy, that's the magic trick that film does to you.
There's certain things that can work.
That's cool.
If you made Curious George the movie, and seeing a real monkey, and it's kind of like Planet of the Apes, like the one with James Franco. But anyway, here's something that's in the same world, but a little different. The new Shrek teaser came out.
Now, why do you say this is in the same world?
It's in the same Shrek universe.
Oh, in the same Shrek universe.
Not Shrek
I understand.
Going like, there's a portal, and then.
Oh, did you say that we're talking about the Shrek teaser?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Shrek 5. Yes, Shrek 5.
And then Shrek,
but
he's walking around the street like Homer in the Treehouse of Horrors. He's like,
Yeah. Can I say this, though, about the teaser? And we really actually have not a lot to say about this, to be honest. I think we just threw this on here because it came out 3 days ago, according to when we're recording this.
Yeah.
It was originally, at least what I saw when it originally came out, was Shrek 5 teasers, how it was shared with me. Now, I didn't know if that was official or if that was someone else uploading or, whatever. I went to go find it. And on Universal Pictures YouTube, it says Shrek 5 cast announcement. My question is, did they change it from Shrek 5 teaser to Shrek 5 cast announcement because this is not a teaser? Like, I guess it technically is, but the movie doesn't come out until like December 2026, which is almost 2 years from now.
It's hey, I guess.
And the only reason they're doing this is like, hey, we're making another movie, and it's got Zendaya.
Yeah. You want to throw that name in there? people are like, whoa.
I get it, but like, do you need to make a teaser for it?
No, but I guess it's kind of like showing you, hey, it's early enough where you can throw it out there and show how they're going to look, how it's going to be animated. Where if it gets a complete backlash, you can make some changes to it, which I don't think is necessary.
I guess so.
I
guess so.
I think people are. Listen, I'm not a hardcore Shrek fan, but I think it's respectful enough to look like the old property, but just less disgusting looking. Because listen, the original Shrek wasn't. It didn't look great.
Oh, you're talking about the redesigns.
Yeah, I think the redesigns are fine. That's the biggest thing I think people are angry about. Is just like that doesn't look like Shrek.
They are. It's really interesting. They're very upset about it.
It could have been so much different. It could the designs could have been. I mean, look at the Minecraft movie right now. It's been getting really just like it's the newest meme. Well, not really. I don't know, because I did a Halloween costume and no one knew who I was. But I think
it's kind of true.
They were like, "Oh, are you I don't know, a Smurf?" Because I was anyway. But I think like it's freaking out over this. It's because it's what everyone got mad at us for as older millennials for complaining about stuff. Oh, get over it. Why don't you just this is for kids. And now I feel like the younger Gen Zers are finally, experiencing what we did, where it's
sure.
something that's slightly different and you're having a heart attack over. I think it looks better. They animated more fun.
Yeah. And
I guess
Shrek is fine. I think the strange thing, I just want to say that with the like Fiona, there's something about the designs that kind of feels like. Do you remember the Croods?
I kid you not. I tweeted. I made the Croods all green, and I said, "This is the Shrek I'm familiar with."
Okay. Because that's the feeling I was getting when I was watching. I was like, it feels like. Yeah, it feels kind of like the Croods.
Even Shrek's daughter, whoever
yes.
played, very, very crude looking.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yes.
Say also kind of looks like... That's
what everyone's saying.
She kind of looks like she has no teeth. I don't know if you noticed that. It kind of looks weird.
Can I just say, just an offshoot? I think it was the finale, the season finale of Bob's Burgers. I just want to say this. I don't know if you noticed this, but kind of famously, at least now, but Bob's Burgers, the characters don't have teeth.
Yeah.
They don't have teeth when they talk. There was a guy that was giving an announcement during this, it was like a parade or whatever. It was the thing on the wharf. He had teeth when he was talking, and it wasn't like he was taking a bite of something or smiling. Like, in order to do something like, oh, I don't know, this tooth is loose or something. You'd have to show it, and they've done that before just to show something specifically with teeth. I think I can't even really remember because it's 14 seasons now or whatever. But he just straight up had teeth when he was talking. Wow. And they didn't mention it. They didn't point it.
Yeah,
it wasn't like it wasn't like, wow, he has like a good smile or like or oh, I just got my teeth whitened or whatever. It just didn't mention it at all. Just kind of like had it. The only character that I've seen in like 10 years have teeth. It was very jarring to me. But anyway, just you brought that up, and I just wanted to point that out because it was just very strange.
Well, there should be a YouTube channel where someone adds teeth to the Bob's Burgers characters. Just to see how Bob's Burgers with teeth.
Sure. I mean, that's pretty much all we need to say about Shrek 5. It comes out in like 2 years, and really, it's just they're just they're just releasing it so they can have like Zendaya. So you see these three that we have here. We got Smurfs.
Yeah.
That is an animated film that is going taking animated characters and putting them into live action, and, bringing them into the world. And they're saying like, hey, and we got Rihanna. Then you got How to Train Your Dragon, which is this film, this live action film with animated characters. And they got Shrek 5. That's like, hey, we got Zendaya. So you see, there is a method to the madness of choosing these things. I always want to have a thread in there that we can jump from one thing to the next.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with AI. And now it's time for AI Watch.
Featuring
Oh,
Sabrina Carpenter.
so stupid. Oh my God. We'll kind of get to that. AI Watch. Listen, these are just stories that kind of pop up.
Sorry, I have one thing to say. You did tell me to bring
yes.
up something during the third story.
I did.
Where I was talking about mock-ups looking too realistic.
Oh no, it was just him swiping. Yeah, it was just Shrek swiping and seeing the different memes of himself.
Yeah.
And how like. But you probably would have been funnier if you made him look worse, because he was like, who comes up with this stuff? And it wasn't entirely obvious that they were all completely memed. Anyway.
Gotcha.
Now
back to AI Watch.
The AI, yes, exactly. So why don't we get on to the first story here? We're not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's just something that we listen, there's AI all the time. We only got like 10 minutes left in our record here, if that. So we got to go, man. Let's just do it. First story.
Hank Azaria has spoken out about his thoughts on the future of voice acting and AI. And he seems pretty, not doom and gloom about it. I think it's a good example of how, he talks about how, of course, people have soul. People, and characters evolve with, in time. You get to craft it, and it becomes the character becomes more than just what the voice is. You kind of know, oh, that's hearing how their voice reacts to stuff. It's much like my voice, not doing anything is the opposite with them. Their voice does something.
Well, he has a few examples. It's really funny because the whole article on the New York Times is like they're like, oh, he's in The Simpsons. Let's make the background yellow.
Oh yeah.
And then they have this weird navigation where like you're going down, you're going over, and it's you're reading certain things and then you're seeing clips, and he's given these demonstrations of how essentially he can't actually be easily replaced by AI, because it's like, well, sometimes, you gotta, he's got to have like a pen in his mouth or something. And it's, I just, he does that. Oh, he's got to be running. So I actually run in place so that you can kind of get that sound and that feeling of impact and stuff. And it's not something that's easily trained. And the thing is with that stuff, we know that. I mean, we know that that's not, I don't think that's new information. I think it's new information for a lot of people, and it's really good to have people kind of talk out on that. I think there are certain cases where I think back to this another Matt Groening thing. It was Futurama, and I remember, as I have often said, the Futurama season DVDs where they had commentary track on every single episode. That was basically my film school. Was like just listening to those, because they had the director, they had the composer, actors, producer, like they had all sorts of people in those rooms for every single episode. It's amazing. If you haven't heard it, it's so informative. Yeah. First 4 seasons or so, right? Or yeah. Now there's an episode that I remember very clearly in the commentary track. They tell this story. It was, they have these openings sometimes where it's like, Thompson's teeth, the only teeth strong enough to eat other teeth. And then it was, it's great, funny commercials. They had this one that was, nobody doesn't like molten boron. And so they wrote this thing and did this whole jingle and everything. And someone pointed out, because it's supposed to be like, nobody doesn't like Sarah Lee. And somebody pointed out, you had them sing it the way everyone understands it. Nobody does it like Sarah Lee. Nobody does it like Molten Boron. But that's not the line. The line is nobody doesn't like Sarah Lee. So nobody doesn't like Molten Boron. Yeah. But they couldn't go back and re-record it. So the editor or sound designer, I actually kind of forget who did it. It might have been Christopher Ting, but it might have been someone completely different. So I'm sorry, I forget the attribution. I just remember the story, but it might have been the editor who like had to take a sound, right, an NT kind of sound, and merge it into that moment, so it actually, when you listen to it now, it sounds like nobody doesn't like, and put a little space in there to actually make them enunciate a word that they did not say.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool to listen to, as like, that's a last minute thing. You can't, you're producing these episodes on top of one another. You got to deliver this thing. It was a mistake. I'm telling this story because that is kind of how I imagined when the SAG negotiations were going on, and it was over using AI for voice acting kind of thing. That's how I kind of imagined it would be, is tweaking something that exists. I imagine it being, of course, they're going to want to use it however they want. So, of course, you have to put in guardrails. But my assumption was the actual most helpful best case scenario is kind of like when someone can't drop their voice low enough for a character that needs like a really low voice, and you kind of pitch them down a little bit. It's a very similar thing with AI. They used AI to make, which I just find so funny because, he just won the Oscar. Adrian Brody, they used AI to make his accent better, to make it sound more natural. And it was like it sounds like they were going in and they were doing it. It was, syllabic. Like it was down to the syllables. It was down to the sounds to like use AI to kind of like adjust it and make it sound more natural.
They should work on his Rastafarian accent.
I think that is the kind of thing. And then you have like like last minute adjustments. Someone read a line wrong, or maybe they read out someone's name and the name was pronounced incorrectly, and you can't get that person back. Maybe it's at like 2 a.m. or something like that, and you gotta. So those are the kinds of case scenarios that I see it being used most helpfully.
Oh yeah,
this idea of like using AI voices to do an entire line, entire character. I just feel like that just can't really. I was watching a documentary. Sorry, I'm ranting, but I was watching a documentary recently. It was it was Gabby Petito, right? It was the documentary on Netflix. It was that the van life vlogger, I guess, who went missing. And, is that like that thing? And they used AI to have quote unquote her read her blog, her not blog entries, her like diary entries.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so not necessary.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to do that. And it's kind of creepy. And also like, there's no emoting that's going on. So there's no like, so even if you don't know the context at which she was writing this, then you really shouldn't be having it through her voice, right? It shouldn't be, and it was just kind of like that was the wrong use of AI.
I mean, they don't even do that for the news with interpreters of like stuff. It could be a male talking, and they'll have a woman read the whatever the dialogue is. Yeah, that just seems kind of weird and really unnecessary to do. But stuff like James Earl Jones, when he gave his voice to use for AI and stuff. I think it can work, but as far as like taking over characters and stuff, you look at the evolution of Looney Tune characters of like Mel Blanc, and now we have Eric Bauer. Like everyone adds their own kind of element to something. So unfortunately, all the Simpsons characters are not going to live. Voice actors are not going to live forever, and but to replace them with something like that would just seem impossible to do. And you get this.
I think in those cases, yeah, I was just gonna say in those cases it might just be a case that like, listen, if some tragedy happens and someone passes, and you need to like finish out this character's story, maybe that is the only way that I feel like if you have a character that's been going on for like 10, 15 years. But that has to be. I mean, the voice actor also has a bit of a feeling over that, and they have to be able to. It has to be a case by case basis for this kind of thing. I'm just going to say we're not going to talk about the other story exactly on its own. I'm just going to introduce it, and then I'll kind of wrap it back into this conversation. Yeah. But there was this tech critic, Ed Zitron. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but he had this whole this thing that was on Slate. It was an interview, and it was basically about the problem of reporting on AI. And there's one quote that I want to read before we get on to the other things, because this is kind of the way that I feel and I have felt about AI. The companies are making so much money, right? And they're putting it into like everything, and they're saying this is how much stuff we're going to do. There's another article that I'll bring up as well, but he said, Jeff Bezos said that modern AI is a horizontal enabling layer. It can be used to improve everything. It'll be in everything, right? That's basically what he said. And so he says that's ridiculous. Like, he's saying that AI is going to be like electricity. He's like, electricity has use cases. We're 2 years into AI. Where is the horizontal enablement? Where is the thing it's enabling? Show me one thing which you use that go, oh, I'm so glad I have this. Show me the AirPlay. Show me the Apple Pay. Show me something that you're like, I'm glad this is here. And it's true. ChatGPT. So many people use ChatGPT. So many people use Midjourney for any real use outside of, that's neat. That's kind of like a fun thing. Sure, there's people that use ChatGPT to like write code for them, to help like fix their sentence structure and to give them other ideas.
A lot with completely like
there's tons of people who use stuff like that, but it is not. It is a use case scenario that seems very funneled to like the amount of money that you're spending versus the amount of helpfulness to people at large in society is very, very small. Yeah. It's a huge difference, right? There's not that much use case for it, whereas actually helpful, it's kind of just more fun little thing to tinker with. AI, making anything creative with AI is like trying to build a house with Lincoln logs. Like, technically, I guess you could do it, but I mean, it's not advisable. Someone might do it just to, or I guess I should have said Legos so I didn't sound like 100 years old. But like, Lincoln logs. You could do it. It's just for what purpose other than for the lulz? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think the actual only case scenario is to, we haven't really sworn on this, but I'm just gonna say, I was talking recently about just the internet in general and how I feel like at one point the internet was felt to be this, it was going to be this open, ocean of, vast knowledge and helpfulness and, bringing the communities together. And it really is just more a landfill of shit, just shit everywhere. And the thing is, there's really good stuff on the internet. Like there is perfectly usable stuff in every landfill. But the thing is, you have to determine in every single case that something is usable, but was it in contact with the shit? Was it touching the shit? Is this infested with bedbugs? Like, it looks fine, but under the surface, is it like everything on the internet is like that? And now that we have AI, all it's doing is now it is just absolutely flooding the internet with so much like overwhelming shit.
Oh yeah.
That it is reducing the valuableness, the value of the internet as a whole. I actually feel like it is driving people away from the internet at a rate that was already kind of happening. Like it just feels like AI comes in at the same time touch grass becomes like a phrase that people are using. Like I don't think that's I think that is it's just exacerbating a problem that has been on the move. And I think now we just kind of realize that I think there was a chance that the internet could have been a real actual positive thing. And I think we just kind of ruined it. I think it's still good. I mean, obviously the internet's great. I mean, we're talking, via Zoom right now, recording remotely. I mean, the internet has its use case and errors. Obviously, it's part of life. It's part of everyday life. The use of it is not distributed, I guess, in a way that I think we were kind of hoping it was going to be the betterment of the world. It's just like everything else we use as humans. It's just being tainted.
Well, that landfill of shit, sometimes a few flowers grow out of it.
Mushrooms grow in
and
shit.
That's the concept of the new Smurfs.
Oh, there you go.
Mushrooms and flowers on a landfill of shit.
I'll put in the. I'm not going to put in the recommendations. You can look it up yourself. Google's Sergey Brin. He wrote this memo, and basically he's just trying to become the new complete villain of the world now, because he's saying, yeah, we want to create general artificial intelligence, which first of all no one really wants, because everyone's worried about Terminator, and I don't think it's even entirely possible for that to happen. But he's also saying, some people just come in, they just do their bare minimum to work, and they bring everyone down. Some people can work too much, and that's not good. You'll get burnout. 60 hours a week, that is the sweet spot. Is what he sent this memo out to everyone. I was like, you know what? Especially for someone who is the head of AI for Google, to tell people that they should be working 60 hours a week so that we can create general artificial intelligence, which so many people have said is going to be the downfall of humanity. Yeah. He just wants to be the new villain. Anyway,
I mean, get in line. There's plenty of villains going on right now, so get in line, buddy.
And that'll do it for this episode of the RubberOnion Animation Podcast. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Rob, one that you tell them how they can follow you on the internet, and then I'll give my recommendations afterward if you haven't already turned it off.
At RobUFO, and everywhere, I believe. Maybe, I don't know.
There you go.
Mr. Books, how about you?
I'm RubberOnion. You get it. My recommendations this week. Patrick Smith had a new short. Came out a new short, Swipe. It's very good. I like it a lot. It's probably one of my favorite that he's ever done. I will link it. It's very good. There's also a referenceangle.com. It's a nice website for helping you get some reference angles for heads and things. Just use. It's a useful tool for animators. Rob, you had one.
Yeah, Funny Fantasies. It's a short that's been going around, and it pays homage to fun 1930s style rubber hose animation. And I think the character designs are fun. Kind of look almost Simpsons-y, big bulgy eyes and itchy and scratchy looking. I've been following a lot of the animators on this, and it's a great looking short. It's a mighty fine looking short they got there.
Okay, great. That's I don't know when I'm going to upload this for everyone, but thanks for joining us, everyone. You will get another episode another couple weeks. Hopefully this may be a little bit more positive than last episode. We always got our little grumpiness. Anyway, see you next time.
See you.